Welcome back to Wake the F Up podcast, where we dive deep into healing from loss with self-love and transformation. I'm your host, Alix, and today we have a powerful conversation in store for you. We're talking about breaking generational cycles and understanding how our inner parts play a role in our healing journey. Welcome to Wake the F Up podcast. Our guest today is someone who embodies resilience, healing, and deep wisdom. Dayana Lopez, a family constellation therapist, brain injury advocate, and author featured in the book History of Hope. Her journey of surviving a traumatic brain injury led her to a profound healing modality that helps people release generational burdens and step into their full power. Before we dive into her incredible story, I wanted to remind you about the love framework that we're using here at Wake Wellness. We want to listen, own, value, and empower. These pillars are the foundation for healing loss through love, guiding you to reconnect with your essential self. And today we're going to see just how these principles align with family constellation therapy and IFS, internal family systems, two very profound tools. So let's get started. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Excited for the opportunity that you are giving me to share information about family constellations and brain injury.
Well, I'm so excited to get our listeners to hear about your story. And actually, this is the first time we've talked in depth about IFS with an IFS professional. So I'm really excited to share this modality and therapeutic tool. It's really powerful by Dr. Schwartz. And I think our listeners are going to value from this greatly. So if you would you want to just tell us a little bit about your story, your brain injury, and how you got to be where you are today?
Almost 5 years now, I got into a car accident. From that car accident, I was diagnosed 2.5 years later with brain injury because brain injury is an invisible injury, right? If people see you, they don't know that you have a disability or that you have an issue or that you have some kind of limitation. So, what I did, because it was a very dark moments. Like now I'm 50. At that time, I was 45. And I was in shock with what happened. I'm like now I need to start over. Like, all those things that you think about it when something like that happened. And what I did, I started to post in Instagram. And when I was in my lowest point, I post the most and I post the most because I said maybe someone out there has the same issues that I have. Maybe not with a car accident, maybe with a family, with spouse, depression, so many things. Especially here in Canada, we have a lot of snow. The winter, we have long winter. So I start to post, I start to post, and now I have 92,000 followers. I met someone that he has a book. He's Dr. Brody Miller, I think. Excuse me, I don't remember like properly my accent, but he invited me to be part of his book as a story of hope, and also for the Concussion Foundation they feature my story there. So I'm very happy for more people to know about the awareness of a brain injury, because people, they don't know that you have this, right? And in this 40.5 years later, because I need to find something to do, I start to study about family constellations, and I fall in love with everything, with all the process, what you're learning, what you're healing with family constellations. And when you start your healing process, like all the patterns and all the doors are going to start to open, because sometimes you can have a situation like why I don't last in a work more than 1 year, why I'm so unstable, or why I'm always in my family everybody's getting divorced, or why in my family, like everybody, her husband died as at young age, right? And that happened. Like for my story, I have a cousin who died in a car accident. And then I noticed that in every generation in my family, someone died in a car accident. That's the reason I say, no, 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 this is stuck with me. I need to make this change. Like I need to deep more. And that's how I became family constellations therapy. And now I'm going to Spain for a course. And also I'm going to do constellations group. Yeah, I'm taking a course with Ismael Tarot. He's a very well known in Spain about the constellations and many things, because you always have to keep learning and growing, right? And the deeper you go in your journey, the more you can help other people.
So true. Have you noticed that after your brain injury, that you had to be forced after this tragedy to go inside and listen to yourself? And you talked about, I mean, wow, 92,000 followers is insane, first of all. Congratulations on that. And it obviously speaks to the fact that people are drawn to what you have to say. So talk to me a little bit about, what do you think it was that got you this many followers, and what were you saying that got people so in tune with your message?
When I have the incident in my life, they told me that I need to meditate in order to gain energy. When I don't have energy, I'm like, so for me, I need to meditate. So when I do a pose, I meditate before. I meditate every morning. Sometimes I do it 2 times or 3 times. So I get message. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna post this today. This one is related to my experience, and I can share to other people. Especially the message about don't give up. I'm like, I cannot give up. I have to keep going. I have to keep going. And I share those message, and a lot of people, they are like, yes, like it's nice to create a community.
You meditate multiple times a day, and then you're able to really drop into your deeper intuition and your message, and you share that and create community through that, which is really powerful, especially because brain injury is a silent issue and no one does know about it. It's very similar to how our listeners are carrying grief, and there's grief within your loss, obviously. Losing your former self, that had to have been challenging. So would you say that when you meditate, that is the way that you've learned to listen inside?
When I meditate, I do with the Akashic records. It's very powerful, and it takes me very deeper on my meditation.
Can you talk to me a little bit and tell our listeners a little bit about kind of the steps that you do through your meditation, and what an Akashic reading looks like internally?
I started meditation around 15 years ago with the art of living, right? But I never kind of, it was on and off, on and off. I did meditate, but not much. But now I'm forced to do it. So then I said to my spirit guide, I say, okay, you got me. Like I have to meditate. I don't have to do any option. So with the Akashic records, it's a deeper connection with your soul. And the way that I do it, I go in my meditation and I ask questions, or I ask guidance, and I'm able to receive it. People, they love my Akashic records.
Check out her website. She has an incredible amount of reviews. I mean, thousands of reviews on not just your Akashic record readings, but also on your group family constellation and your therapeutics offerings. It's pretty impressive. I was like, dang, these numbers are massive. You have a lot of traffic going through both your social media platform, but also your website, which is crazy.
Thank you. My family, my sister-in-law, she's one of my number one
Supporters?
followers.
Oh.
supported.
I
Yeah.
love that. It's actually really cool when, if you think about, well, maybe actually, so the Akashic reading, you go inside and you ask your spirit guide questions sometimes, but a lot of times, it reminds me a little bit of when I was running through my journey with my first husband's cancer. I used to be so overwhelmed with grief, fear, all the emotions that come along with being a cancer caregiver at a young age with two small kids. And I used to do yoga on the regular every day. I owned a yoga studio, and I would lay in shavasana, and the mantra, the prayer, the question I would meditate on would be, God, what is it that you are asking of me? Like, what, use me in the way that you need to. And I essentially was asking, it's just, I think the prayer of St. Francis, as Catholics would say, but it's like, use my body, use me as your guide, and tell me what I'm supposed to be doing here. And I would ask that over and over and over again. And I'm not sure that I always had the answers, but there definitely was this deeper knowing that came to surface. Um, and I'm wondering, like, is that how you feel? So every time you do your meditation in Akashic record, do you get these like intuitive
I get
answers?
visions.
Yeah.
I get visions. Like
Oh,
they
you get
show
visions.
me. Yeah. Like I ask and they show me, and I get signs when I'm asking questions. Like I get signs, and like they're very powerful. Like also, you know what I do? I do volunteer with people in jail in Colombia.
There's a lot of people that actually find philanthropies of that nature, or philanthropy in general with other people in suffrage, really do give back a lot of that. So the testimony and the emotional connection that happens in those spaces can be so profound.
Yes, and what I notice in my therapies with family constellations when I do it with them, or like in general, is the wounds that we have that they was created, okay, when since we are conceived up to 7 years old, those can affect a lot in your present, right? Like if you
Yeah, for
have like
sure.
abandonment wounds, if your mom needed to work and you have to stay with your grandma, the little child, they don't know that they have to go to work. They only know that my mom left me, right? So a lot of people,
Hmm.
they are in relationship because they don't want to be alone, right? Or some people, they don't ask for
Yeah.
help because they don't want to be rejected.
So, family constellations is so powerful. And I actually, like, this is deeply personal, of course, to me. I've been working for years and years and years on, I went to therapy initially because my first husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, essentially at age 30. And I had two baby children, and it was just so shocking. I never really realized how much my therapy would turn out to be me healing from my generational trauma. So my mom's family has a serious history of depression. My father came from an abusive home, and he abandoned my family when I was a little bit older. And it's interesting that my abandonment issues kept coming up and up and up in everything I did. I was a perfectionist, people pleaser. I'm extremely intuitive because I always had to read the room and felt like I had to give out and make things okay for everyone in order to be loved. And I've worked on that for probably 11 years. And it's so funny that I just had a new baby. Her name is Genevieve, and I'm remarried to another widower. And we named her after a lineage of women in my mother's family that all had significant loss and were unable to heal post loss. And her name and lineage represents me breaking generational cycles on both sides of our family, really, but especially on my side of the family where loss destroyed us and abandonment made us go into an internal suffrage versus like finding aliveness and joy. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what internal family systems and the constellation therapy does for your clients, and how exactly does it work? Like, how do you know what the long standing lineage issues are?
One of the things with family constellations that we learn is that we cannot judge or ancestors, right? um, because we don't know what they went through. We don't know which one was the level of consciousness. And everybody has um, their own time to process the situations, right? So if I say, for example, oh, my great grandmother, she was crazy, she didn't do this properly. So I'm stepping about the hierarchy because she is the bigger one and I'm the small one. My destiny always will be to be her great granddaughter. So when you are judging your ancestors, you're going above. And when you are not being in your place, life will shake you until you go back where you belong, right? Because you are the daughter. The issues that the elders they have the capacity to deal with them. Even if they pass away and everything, that's their story. That was their destiny. God never make mistakes. And we have to respect and honor that. So when I said to my ancestors, or when I said to my parents, I take you as you are, right? I take you as you are, and I'm surrender to your soul. Always going to be your daughter, and that's my destiny.
I take you as you are and I surrender to my soul. Well, that's very powerful.
Yeah, that's an exercise that you guys can do. You can take a picture of your mom and you can take a picture of your dad. Even if you don't know your dad, if you never see him or anything, you are someone's daughter because it's in your blood and you have their energy.
So, when it comes to loss, like losing a parent or even divorce, in the family constellations, I guess maybe you could help guide me through this. My therapist has talked to me many times about this. Like, a lot of times blending a family is really challenging because you're born into a certain station, right? So my children, I always think about my son. He was born as the oldest in his family of origin with my first husband. And as we blended families, he became the fourth child of now six, but then five. And so when you blend families, it's really challenging, right? Because everything gets kind of shooken up, right? And your order changes. How do you navigate, what is the modern world with either death or divorce, and when you have to blend families or you migrate, are you always to stay in your same station of origin, or do you become into a new place when you're in the constellation?
You be coming to a new place, but what you have to understand is everybody has their own place. And the problems start when you are trying to be in a place that you don't belong. For example, if your brother get married, some people get have situations with the sister-in-law. They don't like it. They get jealous. But why? It's two different relationship. You're always going to be the sister, and she is his new wife. So when you are trying to fight those situations is when the confrontation start. It's the same when you are a blended family and everyone has a previous wife or a previous husband. So what you have to do, you have to acknowledge and you have to be thankful to the previous person, because if she didn't leave, you wouldn't be there. That person is the first one and you are the second one. But thank you, because you left, I'm able to have a place here now.
For widows who are listening, or widowers, you want to show gratitude to the previous spouse that passed and thank them that because of their passing, you're able to be in this seat of parenting. But when it comes to children who've lost a parent, how do you best support them in that? So, where they fight against potentially being in this new family.
That's something, especially if they are younger children, It's hard to explain to them your dad passed away and now I'm starting a new relationship, right? um, that is something that you have to work a little bit deeper, right? And guide them, and always um, make sure that they always give the place to the dad, to his dad. He always will be his dad, and this new person, it is your stepdad.
Because I think there are a lot of inner family conflict with death and divorce. And I think it's difficult because if you struggle with abandonment issues yourself, right? So with the constellation, it's like it's really important what you're saying is if you can heal from your own intergenerational trauma, maybe it's an abandonment issue is something I face. Like when you get into the position of being the second spouse, it can challenge you to feel not enough or like you're not, you weren't supposed to be here. Like often I sit in that seat and feel guilt that I am here and my husband's first wife is not. Around holidays, birthdays. She actually just had the anniversary of her passing. And so it's on Valentine's Day and it's really challenging. Like, how do you be there on Valentine's Day as the stepmother? But what you're saying is if you go back and honor her role and have gratitude for her, that actually is a way to heal.
I see you that is hard to digest that for you.
For sure. I mean, I've definitely, because of being abandoned so many different ways in my life in the past from a very small age on, Um, and then when my husband died, that's not a choice, but he did essentially he left, me with my 2 children. And then their suffering from that has always been very challenging for me to witness because I think as a parent, you wanna break cycles that happen to you, but it happened to my children with like, against almost my entire inner wanting for them. Like the one thing I wanted them to feel is a sense of belonging and family, and that didn't work out for us. So I'm sure in my Akashic record, death is supposed to be in my world, and I am supposed to work and face and break this abandonment cycle.
When you start healing, right? And when you learn, you are enough. You are enough.
I've created an entire company, done I mean thousands of hours of therapy and multiple modalities to learn how to love myself and feel enough. And I think those of you listening, my listenership is primarily people in loss and widows most likely. But the truth is, like abandonment can happen in tons of form. When that is your origin story, it's really hard.
We are like a little hooks, right? And you have a wound, right? So any person that you meet is going to remind you of that wound, right? So when you heal that wound, you're going to attract someone that it won't reactivate the wound again because you are already healed that part. The triggers, or when something is taking you to the abandonment wound again, you are like, no, we are enough, we are good, we are fine.
So, how do you suggest that someone with an abandonment wound or a wound in general, how do you heal? Like, we can use abandonment as an example. How do you find that someone can heal a wound of abandonment?
I think when you start to do your inner child work, this is what I have. I'm going to show you.
Is this a little picture, your little you? So powerful.
Yes, and the way that I see it is like I check within myself. Of course, it's many years of work, and it's still you keep working. When I feel something trigger, I say like I'm here, I'm with you. Nothing is gonna happen because I grow up already, and I'm responsible of you. We, my inner child and myself, we understood that my mom needed to work and I have to stay with my grandma. My dad was in another circumstance, and now we understand that. And I love my parents both. Like now you understand that whatever happened when you was little, it was perfect. It was the best for you, because your parents, they give you life, And that's what they did. And they did it perfect because we are here. So forever you have to be grateful. If down the road different things happen, maybe they wasn't on the picture, they was the best dad or the best mom or the best grandparents, you have to understand nobody's born with a book how to be a parent. Because when your kids are older, they're gonna say, "Oh, my mom didn't do this right," but you're gonna say, "I did the best that I knew."
In the family constellations, is the work in healing the inner child to say, I'm here, I'm with you. Is it basically an inner self-love? So you learn to love and trust yourself by being your own parent. So you parent your little you.
When we are doing the abandonment wounds, we use different healing phrases. But I want to leave for the audience. They can take something with them, take a picture of their inner child, put it in the washroom, put it in your kitchen, put it anywhere. And every morning, you're going to tell the little child, I'm with you, I'm here. I love you. Like all the words that you wanted to hear when you was younger, you can say that to yourself now. Because when you are older, we cannot keep blaming my mom did this, my dad did this. When you take responsibility, you are talking from an adult place. When you're saying my mom did this to me, like I'm like this because of my parents, you are acting like from your inner child wounds. So that's a way to recognize where you are.
I heard something recently that was you're not responsible to what happened to you in your past or how or the trauma that came upon you, but you are responsible for healing that trauma. And I think that's empowering because what I've heard a lot of what you're saying is there is a big surrendering in your place in this world and your soul's journey. And there's a lot of words to say that from. It's like you were born into this world and you said essentially that is the role of your parent is to bring you here. And maybe that the universe and the generational lessons that we're being taught, if you're open to listen to them and heal from them, that is your soul's journey in essence. That's why we are here is to heal from past wounds and to learn to love ourselves and go inside and find gratitude, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and choose life. Yeah, yeah, and choose life. When you take your the strength of your parents, your mom is on the left side and your dad is on the right side. So when there is an exercise that we do, that I do, that I learn, when you put visualize your dad and your mom, you are taking the strength for them for life. They give you the force. Your mom is relationship and abundance. Your dad is stability, work, how the world see you. So if you are having issues with relationship and money, it's your mom. If you are having issues with stability, with the strength in life, it's with your dad. And this year is number 9. So you have to do the inner work more, I will say, forced to do it because all the changes that is coming this year. That's the reason I say that I got it on my meditation. I only follow my inner compass. I only follow my inner compass.
If you take one thing away from what you're teaching today, that's crucial. One of the things that I realized, no matter what modality you're using to find healing, is that almost every really powerful therapy tool is to follow your own inner compass, is to go inside, is to listen to yourself and or your spirit guides, however you will phrase that, and to drop into that deeper intuition of what you need and asking yourself a question. When you had your traumatic brain injury, did you struggle? Talk to me a little bit about like how did that affect your body? How did that affect your thoughts? Like, was that actually like all loss, like a blessing and a curse? You had to change the way you thought, but like what I've found in my healing is when I let my brain get out of here, I do a lot better. I'm like, this is actually messing me up quite a decent amount. So, with the brain not being fully like in the healing of it, did you find you did better losing the brain's capacity fully?
That's the reason I came now, because I say with my brain injury, you have different issues. So during my meditation, I say maybe I don't have my brain, but I have my inner compass. And what is more powerful than your inner compass? That's when I say I'm in peace. I'm like,
Yeah, because your brain is actually just trying to keep you alive, and so it takes all these past memories of how to survive and keep you safe, and it often is a protection measure. You have to be in safety before you can connect. I mean, that's just physiology, and so, like, to not be in those thoughts or memories actually might be quite amazing in some capacity, and I mean, I'm sure it's been extremely challenging in other ways.
like for me, I used to have a different career, and I used to see 8 to 10 people per day. Okay, now I see 2 people a day, 3 people a day, because my energy is more like, the way that I see it is like this help me to love my energy, to see with who I share my energy. Because now I will choose, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this. This is not worth it. This is not worth it. Like everybody knows where you put your energy, but now the way that I do it is like more mandatory. Do I have to deal with this? No. Do I have to?
What happens when you spread out too much energy? Like, do you have physical response and you notice like a big physiological change when you overextend yourself energetically?
Oh, yes. When I overextend myself, you can see me. It's like I draw. Like my eyes get down. Um, my sometimes I cannot speak too much. Like it's very bad. Like that's the reason I'm like, no, I listen to it. This is what I have to do. I have to follow.
I mean, you couldn't be more model for what we do at Wake. It's so interesting. Everything you're speaking is, and it's so funny because loss and shattering of the self comes in so many forms. And I think, as you all know, as a practitioner, that loss when you're going to a shattering of the former version of yourself, you have to get what you said, very vulnerable. Well, 92,000 followers are obviously listening to you because in that vulnerability, what you're saying is you have to really know yourself. You have to protect yourself when you're hitting a ground zero. And the truth is when you get quiet and you hear what you need on the inside and then you actively build your life around that, protecting your energy, setting boundaries, uh, paying attention, gratitude practices, honoring the self, and listening to your intuition. You are building an authentic life for you. And that is where peace resides. And I think, as you said, that is your soul's purpose, right? Maybe your soul's purpose was to be sitting here teaching people how to protect their energy and tap into their inner wisdom and spirit.
Yeah, I'm learning astrology too, and that showed me too. I'm like, oh, that's my path. Okay, that's Saturn that this happened and that happened. That's great. Yeah, but it's hard.
Well, and I think it is interesting too. It takes some time, in the beginning of a major loss. Like I can imagine from a car accident and a major brain injury that you didn't notice for 2 years. That was probably a deep 2.5 years, a deep struggle, right? Like there's always the deep struggle and grief in that, but at the same time, there is like a battery, like a positive charge on the battery to this very negative thing that happened to you, where you learn to love yourself, and now you're living authentically for you because your body's wisdom is so much greater than your mind.
I had a great team. I had a great team. My social worker, my speech therapy, like my lawyer. Without them, I couldn't do anything because I was feeling dizzy. I was feeling nauseous. I was having a lot of headaches. I went to the hospital. They didn't know. I went different places. Nobody knew until one day I was speaking with my social worker, and she's like, "You should check speech therapy. You should check for maybe." And then because I'm always like, I wanna find what's happening. I went for a CT scan, and they told me, Well, let's see what happened. It's already 2.5 years. If the CT scan, the SPEC scan, it shows that you have something, that means you have to learn how to live with this. And if it show negative, you will recover. So the SPEC scan show that I was having a perfusion. So I'm like, okay, this is my new me. I still have to, keep going. I have family. I have my daughters, like my family, my son, my mom, like everything. And my family love me. They give me a great support. Without them, like I couldn't do anything, because when you are in these situations, you need someone that can hold you. And that was my family for me. Yeah. And the people that live your life, they will live your life. Some people, they are meant to leave, and some people are meant to stay. So in this process, also it was a cleanse, detoxing process.
And you mean detox of people and energy? Yeah. I think everybody who's faced loss has to have a detox of people. I think in constellations, I'm wondering if that, there's probably a whole system to that where people come in and they go out of your life for certain reasons. And they say that, to teach you a lesson, to be there for you in something, or vice versa, you to them. And that feels very true in grief. There are a lot of people that you never knew before would ever imagine would be there for you in the primary loss. And man, that strangers become your dearest advocates, and dearest friends can sometimes fall off. And it's shocking, but that's just life, right?
Also, that I something that I apply now is that you have to take with you your own baggage.
Tell me a little bit more. Where are we taking our baggage? Mine's a lot.
Sometimes you take, like, oh no, I'm gonna take the baggage of this person, that person. Let me help everybody. And you take so many baggage that then your path become heavy. But when you understand that your bag is just this one, and this is what you're supposed to carry with you, everything become lighter.
Don't carry the weight of other people's issues. That's hard sometimes when you're taught, as a child, that to be empathic or a giver, or, like people pleasing, that can be really challenging.
You can be empathic and you can be a giver, but you have to make sure from where you are giving. You are giving from a place that that's what you are hoping to receive, and you are giving from an empty cup, or your cup is full. Because when you are giving, you have to give with boundaries.
Boundaries have been probably the single most important thing I've ever learned.
You cannot overdo it, because when you help someone so much, what's happening? You are cutting the opportunity for the person to grow.
A lot of what you've been saying today is really mirroring Mel Robbins' new book, and I just read it, Let Them, and it's an interesting and amazing theory. It's simple but powerful. Just in what you're saying is you have to let your parents, your ancestors, be who they are. You're saying this on lots of levels actually today. And then you also have to let people carry their own baggage, their own story, their own role. You have to carry your own story, your own inner child, and be responsible for healing her or him. And that's really, really interesting, right? There's so much of us wanting to fix and pull and bring people to where we need them to be, and blame and projection and emotionality, that it's really powerful to think about letting everybody be in the place that they are and be who they are, and you work on you and don't carry other people's baggage. I love that.
My great grandma, I didn't know, and I never mentioned her. I never honor her, because I never met her. But until then, I was talking with one of my aunts, and she said no, she died when she was very young, like 24, 25 years old, and she left. I think like 5 kids, 6 kids by themselves. And, like, and then you're like, wow, I understand your struggle, but that was your destiny. And I leave your story with you, but I honor whatever happened. You know what I mean?
I do. I do understand what you're saying. And I think in that honoring and letting things be, how do you circle back to just you? So, in grief, especially with loss with children, I find that you're in relationship with the person you've lost forever, as are your children, right? So, the parent, we have two lost parents in my house, for example, and we're constantly going through holidays, memories, and whatnot. And so, we're in a relationship, David and I, that is ours and our new family, right? The constellations have completely changed around. And then we're also always in relationship with our primary families or the people that we lost. I'm just wondering how do you while also honoring the past in a healthy way without it kind of constantly pulling you back into the past or the generational potentially pain and trauma.
Always I say, God don't make mistakes. Sometimes we never going to understand. We make a place for that person, but you have the right as a person, as a human, to start a new life. And you have to let their destiny with them, because you cannot live a life and carry that guilt with you.
And I think that's one of the hardest things to carry as a widow is when you love again, I think somewhere in your inner knowing or your inner body, there is a little bit of guilt that you are still alive and you get to continue to live and make choices to live. And I think the outer world also is really uncomfortable with that idea because they don't understand that, as you're saying, I have to sit maybe potentially, or we need, David and I need to sit with the idea that Betsy and Carl, it was in their destiny to pass, which is sucky, right? They died young.
Yeah, I can give you healing phrases. I can give you for you to do it, and the healing phrases are very powerful. You do it for 21 days. It's not like a mantra. It's a powerful phrase for your situation.
Can you give a healing phrase that you use personally? Would you be open to share?
Mom, I surrender to your soul.
Mom, I surrender to your soul. I like that.
I take you as you are.
I take you as you are. I feel like in your nervous system, someone saying, I take you as you are is like what we're seeking in the whole world, right? Like every relationship you choose is to be seen as you are and appreciated for it, who you are. And I think, man, giving that to your parents would be quite healing, let alone as a parent myself. If my children could take me as I am, that would be wonderful, right? It's very healing.
When you're fighting with your mom, you're looking to the past, right? You are fighting with your mom because you wanted a different model of mom, the one that you saw in the movies or in Disney, like the perfect mom or ideal mom that you have. But the mom that God give you is the best mom for you according to the lessons that you needed to have when you come to earth.
That's very powerful. And when I apply that to grief, that's really, really healing to think that you can honor those who have passed, but it was their soul's journey to die. As hard as that is for us on earth to endure, it is you're here for a reason and they are gone for a reason. And we don't know what that reason is or how that became their destiny, but it's important that we focus on being in the now.
Some of the cultures, people from Mexico, they honor a lot their ancestors. And it's very beautiful because it's a
Yes, the Day of the Dead is huge. Here in America, we really struggle. We really struggle. We do a terrible job at death. And funerals are a perfect example. Like we don't even cry. We don't even know how to like grieve. We just don't know how to use our community and our support. We think it should be done alone in shameful ways, right? And any transformation or forward progress or choosing of new life is really shamed by other people. It's really a challenging place to be in loss. And I think this is very helpful stuff today. I kind of thought maybe we'd end a little bit about history of hope, the book that you were featured in, and maybe did you have any messages you wanted to talk to with our listeners about some hope that people can take away from your story?
The book name is Dr. Brody. He has a beautiful story. He also has a recovery program. It will be great one day you can interview him. But what I say in the book is like, I'm not gonna cry. But what I understood in this journey, one day after my meditation, I'm like, now I understand the phrase, because one thing is that you listen to the phrase, you read it, but it's different when you live to the phrase. And which one is the phrase like the butterfly that they pass so many transformation. Imagine all the pain that that butterfly pass to become so beautiful and so unique. And the same with the diamond. They have to pass like long time of pressures in order to become a diamond. In my story of hope, I say, I don't know where life is taking me. I don't know where I'm going, but I have faith and I surrender to God's will. Like I don't fight it anymore, because sometimes you have a plan, but God has a better plan for you. So I'm in my butterfly process, in my diamond, shaping. Hopefully, God, I'm close to, you know.
Well, you are beautiful and unique, just like a butterfly. It's a really beautiful interview, and I am feeling a little bit like, ooh, like tingling in my nervous system because I did an interview recently with a lady who takes the hair and the ashes of loved ones and creates diamonds. And my daughter's, who's 5 months old, Genevieve, her room is done in all butterflies, and I love butterflies so much. I love the symbiology behind it. Like it's so symbolic to me of the pain, the transformation, the digestion of a lot of stuff that we have to work through in order to transform. And I am an eternal optimist, as I see that you are. And it's been cool today to think about. It's been a while since I've retouched into this is your soul's journey, and that you have to surrender into things that are not in your control, and that you let's need to honor your family lineage and the places where people are, and no matter what happens in that lineage, even if it was something super terrible, the lessons that you learn from this hardship or beauty or whatever the story is that you're walking through, they will help you transform if you allow yourself to be where you are, right? And set boundaries and take good care of yourself and listen to your inner wisdom. And yeah, it's really beautiful. I'm so grateful for you today. And I'm going to have all of your social media plugged into our show notes, ways to find you. And today, whoop, whoop, she's offering $100 off a session. So that's like a huge discount. So check out the show notes at Wake Wellness. We'll have everything tagged so you can find the beautiful Miss Lopez, who's doing this amazing constellation therapy. She's also doing Akashic readings. And I think it's just awesome. And you're also doing some group constellation therapy, which is really cool. So I'm actually personally want to jump in on that. It's $33. So talk about an amazing affordability,
Because I want to give the opportunity to everybody.
because therapy has become so incredibly challenging. It's so expensive, and insurance companies are gating it. And I mean, the poor therapists are barely making any money. So I get the cost is rising, but it is really, really hard to afford really good help. So this is a really amazing model that you put together. And I love group coaching because I think community is so important. It's why we're building Wake. So
If you guys want to know more about family constellation, there is a Netflix series, My Another Self.
is it my another self or another self?
Another Self.
Another self. Okay, so look for the Netflix series Another Self. I'll be actually watching that tonight. I'm so excited to even learn about that.
It's 2 seasons.
Yeah, 2 seasons, that's amazing. Okay, well, I am so grateful for you coming on the show today. Thank you so much for everything. You've been an amazing guest, and I feel like I learned so much today, and maybe this was a part of my soul's journey. I'm feeling like you were dropping a lot of wisdom today that I absolutely needed. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And what I want to say, what you see in me is a reflection of you.
I don't even know how to handle that. I have some more inner work to do. I think that you are a butterfly all on your own, my friend, but I always feel very blessed to have you on the show. So thank you so much. And follow us on the show notes. You guys know where to find us. We're doing group coaching coming soon and all sorts of ways to help those of you out there who have just suffered from a major loss. As you can see from Diana's story, it's a transformation that requires a lot of inner soul searching and intuition work, boundaries, family, allowing people to be who they are, allowing yourself to be who you are. And it's an ever ongoing working journey that we're on, and we're here with you. So thank you so much, Dayana. I hope you have a beautiful day, and we hope to talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this episode of Wake the F Up, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Join the Wake community by downloading our app. Just search for The Wake Wellness in the Apple or Android App Store. And follow us on Instagram at The Wake Wellness. Thanks for listening.